This Social Security flaw could shock retirees. I mean, shock. You could be shocked. Let's read this from Motley Fool, posted on Yahoo Finance. How does it? I wonder how it works. Do they pay Yahoo Finance to post this, or does Yahoo Finance pay them? I don't know, but I find it interesting. Look, look, Motley Fool. They write good stuff. I mean, some of it's like my videos. There's some clickbait in there, but it's good stuff. It's stuff that you need to be aware of. I'm not an anti-Motley Fool guy. In fact, I remember the Gardner brothers reading the Motley Fool back in the mid-'90s, and they told me about, not they specifically to me, about the dogs of the Dow strategy. So this strategy has always worked, and like all strategies, it works until it doesn't. And but anyway, so I've always been a fan of Motley Fool. I don't subscribe to them or anything, but just wonder how they get paid. So here's Trevor Genuine, all right? All right, Trevor, he likes to partake in his wine, genuine. That wasn't that good, but we'll try again here in a few minutes. Social Security benefits got a 3.2% COLA, which was smaller than the historic 8.7 COLA we got in 2023. All right, and remember 2023 or 2022 was not 8.7, it was a big one as well. All right. Unfortunately, retired workers are on pace to get an even smaller bump, according to the Senior Citizens League, a nonprofit advocacy group. Senior Citizens League, it's kind of like the bipartisan policy center. It's all nothing but Washington, D.C. stuff to make Washington, D.C. more powerful. That's what they want, dude. Anything to make U.S. powerful and them more powerful, you more reliant on them, that's a win in there for them. The 2023 Retirement Confidence Survey conducted by the EBRI, which I've talked to about many times, reported that 58% of retirees are concerned they'll have to make substantial cuts to their spending due to inflation. Look, dude, I mean, if you're not concerned, everyone's concerned about the future. I'm concerned about the future. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my goodness. Remember what happened? That's why I got my Defiant shirt on. Defiant Tour 2024. Remember what happened in 2020, huh? People wanted to ban people like me. Noam Chomsky, he wanted me to be removed from society and not able to get food, for sure. So I'm always concerned about the future. You know, freaking, what's his name, wanted to, who was it, wanted to make the, Jim Cramer, wanted to send the military to come and make sure I got something that I did not want. I thought my body, my choice. Apparently it only applies to women. Apparently in this case, it doesn't even apply to women. My wife got fired. My body, my choice. Yeah, they can all kiss my butt. The number ticked down to 56% this year about people who are nervous or worried about inflation in the future, but the trend is still intact. More than half the people are still worried about the future. The statistics beg the question, are Social Security benefits actually keeping up with inflation? The question is impossible to answer because inflation impacts each person differently. I'm telling you, good job. That's exactly right. Your inflation is different than the dude across the street or mine. Good job, Molly Fool. 100%, dude. All right, so here we got, there's a major flaw in the Social Security COLA system. We're just going to come down here and show you. Inflation is measured on the CPI-W, which is a subset of the better-known CPI-U. CPI-W only covers like 27% of the population. It's workers, clerical workers, essentially. That doesn't mean you got to be pushing paper, but generally speaking, workers who commute to an office job. That's CPI-W. And it's measured in the third quarter each year, not the entire year, the third quarter. So here's an example. CPI-W increased 3.2% in the third quarter of 2023. Thus, the benefits increased by 3.2%. All right. However, let's see here. The forecast is problematic because CPI-W increased 3.2% in the forecast for the first quarter, but they're only forecasting a 2.6% third quarter. So if you got 3.2% first quarter inflation, that doesn't affect your COLA because the COLA would be based on the third quarter. Does that make sense? 3.2% in Q1 has nothing to do with your own Social Security COLA. It has to do with the Q3, which is kind of weird. Like, just that's it, that one quarter. In simpler terms, the COLA's calculation is flawed because it extrapolates the third quarter inflation to the full year. 100% right. And then they got this chart, which I think is pretty interesting. You'll see the CPI change. All right, this for the whole year, CPI-W. Now, we're not going to argue about CPI-W, CPI-E, or CPI-U. I've done in my book, I don't have here, Relax or Retire, I talk about that. We're not going to get that here today. That is an argument for a different debate here. But here, so in 2015, the entire CPI-W was actually negative. We actually lost, or went down. You could say as somewhat of a, oh, it's freaking ants, dude. Get out of here, ants. You could say we went deflation in 2015, yet we had a 1.7% COLA for Social Security. Why? because the third quarter of 2015 was heavily inflated, where the rest of the year was deflated, if that makes sense. And so you can see, this is the entire year, right? Look at this. We're matching. Social Security COLAs are beating it. We're losing to it. We're losing to it. We're losing to it. Look at that. So the third quarter of 2017 was only 0.3% COLA, but look what it was for the entire of the year. The entirety of the year is 2.1%. Yet we only got a 0.3% boost in Social Security COLA. Now here, see what happens here. I'm going to show you something here. In 2019, COLAs were COLAs was 2.8, but the actual inflation number was 1.7. 2020 is the same thing. 2021, the CPI was 5.3% increase, and we only got a 1.3% for COLA. 2022, 8.5 to 5.9. But then look at 2023, 3.8 to 8.7. So what you're going to see here, and this is the thing that Motley Fool could have easily looked at, is basically a diagonal. So what happened in the total CPI in 2014 was essentially reflected in the COLA for Social Security in 2015. What happened to the total CPI in 2015 was essentially reflected in the COLA in 2016. And again, they don't go down. Social Security benefits don't go down. Same thing here. You look, it's almost like 2.1 to 2, 2.5 to 2.8, 1.7 to 1.6, 1.2 to 1.3, 5.3 to 5.9, 8.5 to 8.7. So basically what I would say is probably going to be about 3.8% is you're probably going to be your Social Security COLA for 2023. Whereas they're saying 2.6. I mean, it's just 1 year behind, essentially. So it's an interesting article and not that much of a deal. I mean, and they say, hey, this costs, what do they say, the average retiree about $264 a year going back to the last 15 years or so. I mean, that's real money, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a gallon of gas right there, $22 a month. Thanks, Sniffy Joe, but it's not anything that, we want more money for sure, but I'm not all that. It's not a huge COLA flaw. There's other flaws with this, but again, remember, Social Security never goes down in value. So that's a nice thing about using this is unlike CPI, which can go down, not much, but it can, Social Security doesn't. So it's the best that we're going to do, and it's okay to be thankful. So, at least I got this. It's better than freaking a hole in the head. All right, love your thoughts. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe. Less than half of you are subscribed. That's the wrong flipping answer. You want me to come find you out there? In YouTube land, I'm looking around. Looking around. Where are you? I see you out there. I see you. God bless.